Babbling, holophrastic, two-word, telegraphic bitter multi-word stage. Live from Panabo City, this is Group 1.
A pleasant, gorgeous, and wonderful morning to each and every one of us. By the way, we are the Group 1 and we are tasked to discuss about the states of the child's first language acquisition.
Objectives: to identify the stages of child's first language acquisition, to explain its progress as they acquire their first language, and to discuss their differences.
Hello everyone! Once again, good morning. I am Maricar and I will be discussing about babbling. But before we proceed to that topic, I will give you a brief explanation about pre-talking stage or cooing. That I think this is the first level of language acquisition. So, pre-talking stage happens during 0 to 6 months, and according to Bollinger 2002, pre-talking stage or cooing is a vowel-like sound responding to human sounds more definitely. Example, you have some funny moments with a baby. You always do your best to make him or her laugh or response. Then, eventually, when the baby like what you're doing, he or she would respond, ooh, ooh. And that's where cooing applied. In addition, baby can't really respond with vowel I because they find it difficult in that stage. So, moving on to the main topic, which is babbling. Babbling happens during 6 to 8 months old of the baby. According to Steinberg 2003, babbling is the sounds which infants produce as consonant-vowel combination. So as you can observe, babbling is produced as consonant-vowel combination, while the pre-talking stage is a vowel-like sound. Example, in the babbling, baby utters na 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 na, da da da, and the most common is ma ma ma. Baby begins to recognize its mother's voice. That's why I told you earlier that ma 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 is a common babbling words of the baby because they can recognize their mother's voice. So the next, baby hears sounds around them and tries to reproduce them, meaning baby are learning through his or her environment. So the next one, babies creating and experimenting. So the baby's attempts at creating and experimenting with sounds is what we call babbling. In other words, no one teaches the baby to utter that words. The baby make an experiment from sounds and kusa na nilang gina-utter. So the next one, so when the baby has been babbling for a few months, it begins to relate the words or sounds it is making to object or things. Example, I have my nephew. He is 7 months old now. He always utter whenever he's not on the mood. He also utter mama when he wants the presence of her mother. He also utter when he's hungry and want to eat. Sometimes there are words that he always utter but we can't understand. Should I say bagulbol? And the last one is babbling is not only vocal communication but physical communication as well. So the baby not only responds through babbling words, they can also respond through gestures like they push away the things if they don't like it. If they like the food, they immediately open their mouth. And that babbling talks all about. So, I have here some pictures that you can picture out what babbling really means. As you can observe, the words that they utter starts with consonants, unlike pre-talking stage. So, I think that's the end of my part. I hope you understand what I discussed. For the next topic, let us have Miss Anfiola to take the virtual floor. Thank you.
So the third stage is the holoplastic stage. Fromkin defines the holoplastic stage, or also known as the one-word stage, as holo, which means complete or undivided, and phrase, which means sentence or phrase. In the study of language acquisition, holoplastic is a pre-linguistic usage of a single word to express or represent a complex thought, wherein a children's first single word represents a complete phrase expressing their specific emotional state. Like for example, the child may see their toy and point at it and says in a commanding tone, "Toy!" which means, "Give me my toy." Or the toy is in between their hands and tell their peers, such as "Mine!" in a possessive tone to inform them that this toy is mine and I don't want you to play with it. Right? So the one word or holoplastic stage occurs between approximately 11 months and 1.5 years of age. By this age, toddlers can create a small number of isolated single words as well as a variety of sounds. This is now more language specific than universal babbling. There are also instances that when a child wants attention, they would cry or even shouting "Mama!" to soothe them, especially when they are hurt or something. And that's all for the holoplastic stage. And let's go to the next reporter.
It was said that if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. But if you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. A pleasant day to all. We just learned the first and second stage of language acquisition. Now, let's move on to the third stage, which is the two-word stage. At this time, a child is already 18 to 24 months old, and they start to construct mini sentences that is only composed of two words. Once children have developed single word speech, they begin to pair groups of words together into mini sentences and phrases like "I want" or "give me." The sentences they make has a noun or a verb plus a modifier. So, there are four types of sentences at this age that a child uses, which are the declarative, interrogative, negative, and imperative. Let's start with the declarative. So, this sentence is a statement or a comment of something. Its goal is to give a statement. For example, doggy big means the dog is big, or like baby chair, which means this is baby's chair or this is my chair because he is the baby. The next kind of sentence is the interrogative. This sentence is questioning something or asking something. For example, "Sa mama?" or asking where is her mom. Another example is "Where ball?" or asking where is the ball or where is the toy. The third one is the negative. This one is stating negative. For example, "Not egg," or saying that this is not an egg. At this age, they most likely to judge small things and also denying some things. Now the next and the last type of sentence is the imperative. It is when a child is demanding or commanding for something. For example, "Ma, dudu," or "Ma, milk," where they are requesting to their parents or guardians to get what they want or to get what they requested. They are giving a command.
At this age, they are already able to produce the consonant sounds like j, p, b, d, t, m, and n. The child is not only produces speech but also receives feedback, confirming that the utterance work as a contribution to that interaction. By this age, whether the child is producing 200 or 300 words. So once again, this stage is what we call the two-word stage. Now, let's hear Miss Christine Joy for the discussion of the telegraphic. Thank you.
Telegraphic stage, or the final stage of language acquisition, is when the child begins to produce utterances that are longer than 2 words. These utterances appear to be sentence-like. They have hierarchical constituent structures similar to the syntactic structures found in the sentence produced by adult grammar. This stage is named as its telegram because it is similar to what is seen in a telegram, containing just enough information for the sentence to make its sense. This stage contains 3 to 4 word sentence. And some of examples of the sentence in the telegraphic stage are, "Mommy eat cake," or "What is her name?" and "She is eating apple." Child's vocabulary expands from 50 words up to 13,000 words. At the age of this stage, the child starts to incorporate plurals, joining words, and attempts to get a grip on tenses. Means that they are going to learn languages, and we thought it is just a random order of their learning of languages, and including speech sounds. Children first start speaking vowels, come the consonants P, B, M, T, D, and K, and G, and S, and Z require specific tongue places. The consonants are the first because they are easier to pronounce. Then some of the others, for example, S and Z, require specific tongue plates, which children cannot do at that age. Have you observed that children improvise something they cannot yet say correctly? For example, when children come across a sound they cannot produce or pronounce easily, they replace it with a sound they can pronounce, like chanelas to nalas. Next is behavioral theory. It assumes that children imitate what they hear, and thanks to continuous positive reinforcement, children learn language through conditioning and habit formation. This emphasizes that children imitates to what they hear, especially to adults. As what adults say, they copy it and try to spoke it and copy what they have uttered. And however, thanks to good habit formation, they are now going to develop good in uttering language correctly. Behaviorist theories such as Skinner also claim that all errors during first language acquisition are due to bad habit formation, which is in due to course children correct as they hear and imitate accurate speech. It is somehow occurs when a certain person or parents talk to the children in baby talk way, where instead of they are going to correct a child to correct accurate speech or word, they are tend to make fun of saying it by that way, or they find it cute if they communicate child in that way. In contrast, behaviorist development, or the nativist like Chomsky, believes that the human beings are born with an innate capacity for language development. Deliberations continue between linguists regarding the importance of nature over nurture in language nurture in acquisition of language. So it is mean that human beings are believed to be equipped of language learning. So therefore, it is developed in ways of nurturing or teaching a child to its proper language acquisition. Language acquisition as a result of nurture behaviorists propose that a child's environment is the most important factor in this language acquisition, and if a child is exposed to rich language, then good habit formation and proper language development will occur. So, as what I have said earlier, if language acquisition starts, especially to its environment, good habit formation really occur because of it can develop a rich language that can possibly absorb in the process of the children's language acquisition. It is possible that the first language acquisition includes speech imitation, but children do not imitate everything they hear. They appear to be very selective and only reproduce unassimilated language chunks. Therefore, their replication seem to be controlled by internal language monitoring process. And children learn the basic rules of language at around the age of 5. The behaviorist theory cannot account for the speed that first language is acquired. So therefore, the children is really imitating what they hear. However, they are selective to the words, especially to what they can easily pronounce or what they can easily to say based on their capacity or their age. Children say things that are not adult imitations. In particular, they use inflection over generalization, such as good, put, putted, moose, and ships. Children produce language structures that do not exist. You often hear where I am instead of where am I. This is an example of unassimilated chunks of information. Means that children that acquire language from a habit formation seem to memorize certain structures prematurely. These phrases become stuck in their minds as unassimilated chunks of information that they cannot incorporate into their own verbal expressions. Children produce many more sound combinations and that they hear and understand many more than they produce. We are wired to acquire language. When we study human language, we are approaching what some might call human essence, the distinctive qualities of mind that are, so far as we know, unique to a man, according to Noam Chomsky. This statement says that humans are naturally unique, means that human can naturally study language and acquire language as its human's essence. Children acquire function words such as or and on, and the less salient words connected to possessiveness, pluralization, and third-person singular in a certain order. Interestingly, the plural S and other forms of S are not all developed in unison. Take note, language development an innate neurological process for language development to occur. Interaction has to take place. Language cannot be acquired passively. Although imitation and habit forming do have a role in language acquisition, children seem predisposed to acquire speech and competency in language by able to map language, possibly onto what Noam Chomsky calls language acquisition device, or LAD.
According to Lieberman in 2015, the fifth stage is the later multi-word or complex stage. This more advanced stage of language development usually occurs during the third year. Speech during this stage is characterized by the addition of grammatical function words, and acquisition of vocabulary continues to develop. As a result, sentences get longer, grammatical elements are less often omitted, and multiple clause sentences become more frequent. In addition, children often overgeneralize rules during this stage. For example, a child may say "boots" instead of "feet" and "goed" instead of "go." During this stage, receptive language skills increase to include the understanding of concepts such as one, all, as well as concepts of time such as now, soon, and later. At this stage, children develop an interest in why and how explanation. In short, they become more questioning and curious. Older toddlers ages 3 to 5 are able to attempt to understand short stories and answer simple questions about stories. Also, at this age, they have the ability to understand nearly everything that is said within reason.
This is Group 1 reporting.